The 2026 Honda CR-V is a fantastic vehicle. There is a reason it is always either number 1 or number 2 when it comes to compact SUV sales. But if you're gonna buy one, there's a few settings that I would definitely change, and there's a couple settings that are turned off from the manufacturer that I would definitely turn on. So let's hop on in and I'll show you what I mean. So let's start off by talking about some things related to the Key-Fob. So this car has smart key entry. What that means is if I have the key in my pocket, I can walk up and I can touch this door handle and it'll automatically unlock this door. But what it doesn't do is unlock those passenger doors. But you can set it up to unlock all of them at once. Let me show you how. All right, so to make these changes, we're gonna go into vehicle settings. When we get into vehicle settings, we wanna go down to keyless access setup. You're gonna select that. It's gonna be the first option. It says door unlock mode. You're gonna select that. From here, you can change this from driver's door only over to all doors. Now, let's talk about getting out of the car. So if you're like me, you typically have a bag and I've got cameras in it, but you may have your laptop or whatever. And you get out, you got your stuff, and you start walking into your house or your apartments, or you go into the grocery store and you go, oh my God, I don't know if I locked the doors. And then you gotta come all the way back and you have to start hitting the key fob and trying to get it to flash or do something, or physically touch the door handle to make sure it locked. You don't have to do all that. You can set it up to where when you get 10 feet from the car with the key, it'll automatically lock the doors. Let me show you how to set this up. All right, so we're gonna go into vehicle settings. Now, when you get into vehicle settings, we want door setup. So you're gonna scroll down until you see door setup. You wanna select that. When you get in here, I wanna say it's the third or fourth one down, walk away auto lock. You're gonna wanna select this. This is one of those features that's turned off from the manufacturer. You're gonna wanna turn this feature on. Honda's always had this one really cool feature where if you take the key fob and you press the unlock button and then you press it and hold it again, what it'll do is it'll roll down all your windows and your moonroof if you've got one. Super cool feature. If you want to let the heat out, I live in Austin, Texas, it makes sense. But if this was in my pocket and I was on the couch and I rolled over on it and I opened it in a storm, that'd be a bad day. You can turn this feature off. Let me show you how. All right, so to turn the auto window down function, we're gonna go into vehicle settings. When you get in vehicle settings, we wanna go to door setup. When you get into door setup, you're gonna scroll down till you see, I believe it's keyless remote power window controls. You're gonna select that. From here, you have the ability to turn that feature off. So have you ever been in the back of someone's car and they come to a complete stop and they turn the car off and we're all about to get out and you go over and you start getting at your door and you're pulling on the door handle and nothing's happening because you have to manually flip this? Well, Hondas are set up to where until the driver opens their door, all of the remaining doors will stay locked, but you can change that. You've got a few different options. Let me show you. Okay, so to affect how the car unlocks, we're gonna go into vehicle settings. Now, when we get into vehicle settings, we want door setup. Now, when we get into door setup, we want to go to auto door unlock. Now, the car is set up currently to where when the driver opens their door, it then unlocks the remaining doors of the car. You can change this to when they shift to park. So if you have that person who tends to get their purse and their bags and all their stuff together before they actually open their door, everyone else is kind of yanking on door handles and trying to find the door locks to unlock. Not a big deal during the day when you can see it, but at night that can be a pain in the butt. You can also change this to when you turn the ignition off, or you can completely turn this function off. So understand, if you're constantly alone in your car, maybe it makes sense to leave it as is, or to turn it completely off. If you constantly have passengers in your car, you could see how changing this might be helpful. Now, one of the major reasons that people buy Hondas is they're known for being safe and reliable. So I want to talk to you about safety for a second. The Honda CR-V has something called Honda Sensing, and it consists of a handful of things, of active safety features. And I want to point some out. There is a camera up here. This camera up here is used for a couple different features. It's used what's called collision mitigation braking. If it's looking like I'm going to rear in another car, it can be an audible alert and then actually apply to brake the vehicle. It also uses it for lane keep assist. So when I'm in a lane, if I start to drift to the left or the right out of that lane, it can center and keep me at that lane. Additionally, it has something called road departure mitigation. So if I'm looking like I'm gonna drive off the shoulder of the road, it can give me an audible alert, vibrate the wheel and say, hey, wake up, pay attention, you're driving off the road. Additionally, you've got radar down in the grille of this vehicle. That radar can be used as part of that adaptive cruise control and that collision mitigation braking. So it can be set up to detect vehicles in front of you. With all these different features, there's a lot of beeps, there's a lot of sensitivity settings, there's all these things that you can affect. You can change a lot of how these work, you just have to know where. Okay, so we're gonna go into vehicle settings. Now, when you get into vehicle settings, you want driver assist system setup. Now, I want to talk to you about a couple of these features. First is forward collision warning distance. So that's that feature where it bounces radar and looks for the car in front of you. And if it's looking like you're going to hit them, it'll give me an audible alert. And then it can actually apply the brakes to help prevent the accident. You can affect the distance, right? So you can set it to be normal. You can set it to be a little bit shorter, or you can make it even a little bit longer. So depending on the sensitivity you prefer, you can change that. Now, the next one is adaptive cruise control forward vehicle detection beep. So if a car gets in front of you and you're going 65 and they slow down to 55, this car is designed to hold whatever distance you keep until you get around them and then take you back up to the speed that you set. Now, you can set it to beep whenever it detects a car in front of you. Maybe you don't want that beep. Maybe it's a little too much. Know that you can affect that here. Now the next one, road departure mitigation. So if you're driving off the shore of the road, I mentioned it'll give you an audible alert and it can vibrate the wheel. This is where you can affect the settings there. You can make it normal, you can make it a little bit wider if you find it's a little bit too touchy, or just give you the warning, right? Maybe you don't want the vibration and all of that. So as we continue to scroll down here, lane keep assist, suspend beep. So lane keep assist keeps you centered in your lane. If you drift to the left or the right, it can be set up to beep when it turns off. You can affect that beep right there. Blind spot information system. I think we all know what that is. Over in the mirror, you've got a blind spot indicator. If somebody's in your blind spot, it'll light up. If you start to get over, it can give you an audible alert. Know that you can turn off like the audible alert and just make it visual, or you can make it both. You've got some different options as far as this goes. So the CR-V is actually set up with a really cool feature that a lot of people don't know about, and that's traffic sign recognition. So what it does is it uses that camera that's up here that I was saying that detects the lines on the road if it's going to keep you centered. It can also read speed signs. Now what's really cool about that is if you're going through like a speed trap or if you're going through like a construction zone, it'll pick up that new speed, because your GPS a lot of times will tell you what the speed should be on that road, but that's assuming that there's not construction or anything else going on. This is really cool because it can not only detect those speed signs, it can throw them up in the dash for you. And then additionally, it can provide you alerts if you're going 3 over or 5 over or even 10 over that. But you have to set it up. Let me show you how. Okay, so we're gonna go into vehicle settings. Now, when you get into vehicle settings, we wanna go to driver assist system setup. Now, when you come in here, there's gonna be 2 of them, right? So we're gonna scroll back down to the first one, traffic sign recognition system display settings. And then that second one is exceeding the speed warning, right? So the first one, you're gonna wanna make sure this is turned on. It should be, but if it's not, turn this feature on. Now, once it's turned on, then we want to go to that next feature related to it, right? So we're gonna come back to the exceed speed warning. This is where you can determine, do you want an alert if you're going over whatever speed it detects? So this is where you can select it, right? You're gonna turn that on. Now, from there, when you come back out, you're gonna be able to scroll one more down, and now you're gonna have a threshold setting. This is where you're gonna pick what that threshold is. So I'm gonna jump into it. From here, you can set it to either be the speed limit. So if it's 55, you'll get an alert if you're going over 55. You can set it if you're going 3 over, whatever that speed limit is. So let's pretend it's 55, you're going 58. Or you can set it 5 over or even 10 over. This is really cool if you use your car to commute quite a bit and you just want to make sure that you don't get listening to a popular song that you really like, and then you look down and go, damn, I'm going like 20 over. This is how you prevent that. Now, related to Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, if you're like me, my vehicle has a wired setup, which is okay, but it's kind of a bummer, right? If you've ever been driving and the wire comes unplugged and then you lose all of your music and everything, that's kind of annoying. It'd be nice to have a wired setup. Well, that's exactly what this box by Zen does. Now, I'm giving this box away. I did a review on this. So if you want to check it out and learn about exactly what it does just that. It turns a wired connection into a wireless connection. So if you want to win this guy, because you could use it for your current car, know that I'm gonna give it away. To win it, pretty easy. All you got to do, go over to my Instagram page, which I'll throw up on the screen right now. When you get there, I have made a post related to this guy. You're going to want to, of course, follow me. You're going to leave a comment on that post. On that post, I want you to let me know your favorite song to listen to when you're driving in the car. That'll get you registered. And then on the 15th of August, this month, I'm going to pull a winner and give one away for free. Let's talk about remote start, because depending if you're coming from an older car, you might have never used remote start, and that's fair. So let's explain how this works. So to use remote start, let's talk about that first. The doors always have to be locked. So you want to make sure they're locked, and you're going to press this little round circle button and hold it for a second or two. Now, when you let off that, you're going to see a flash, and then it's going to crank up the car, and it's going to start. Now, the car will, I believe, run for 10 minutes. You can extend that by doing that same sequence to run it for another 10 after that. Now, things to know. When you walk up, the doors are locked. So you have to touch this with Smart Key Entry, and now it has unlocked this door. Now, to be able to take off in the car, even if you get in, you have to put your foot on the brake and press the start button while the key is inside the car, and then you can leave and drive down the road. Now, if all of this makes you uncomfortable and you're like, I'm just not gonna use that feature, can I turn it off? The answer is yes. Let me show you how. So to turn this feature off, we're gonna go into vehicle settings. Now, when you get into vehicle settings, you're gonna wanna come down to keyless access setup. You're gonna select that. I wanna say it's about 3 or 4 down, you're gonna see it. It's gonna say remote start on off. From here, if you wanna turn the remote start function off, you can simply select it and turn it off. Now, related to your key fob, this vehicle has something called Lockout Prevention. Pretty cool feature. What it means is, if I leave the key inside of the car, right, and I go ahead and I lock the doors, and I try to walk away from it, it's actually gonna unlock the doors. You just saw it flash. It unlocked the doors so that I won't lock my keys in it. Now, it's a fantastic feature, prevents you from having to pay a locksmith to come out. However, there may be times when you want to lock your keys in your car, right? A tow truck's coming, you get it. A friend's gonna come pick it up later, and you want your keys to be allowed to be locked inside of it. You can set that up. Let me show you how. All right, so we're gonna go into vehicle settings. Now, when we get into vehicle settings, we wanna go to door setup. So we're gonna come down here until we get to door setup. Now, we wanna scroll down a few. Now we're gonna see it, it's gonna say Lockout Prevention right there. You're gonna select that. If you want, you can turn this feature off and it will give you the ability to lock your keys in your car. All right, so if you're like me, chances are you get places and you may need to use your parking brake depending on what kind of land you park on. Well, you can set up the Honda CR-V to automatically set the parking brake for you. So that way, if you forget, it'll automatically turn on. But it's one of those things that you have to set up. Let me show you how. So to set this feature up, the first thing we wanna do is turn the vehicle on, right? Now, once the vehicle's on, make sure it's sitting in park. Now, the second thing is remove your foot from the brake. Then you're gonna wanna pull up and just set the parking brake. After you've done that, we're gonna lift up on this until we hear multiple beeps. Once you hear multiple beeps, you're gonna release it. Then you're immediately gonna lift it up again and listen for 2 beeps. That's 1, 2, let go. Now it is set to automatically turn on the parking brake. So now, right, let's say business is normal. I'm gonna put the car in drive. We drive forward 5 feet, just as an example. I'm gonna put the car in park, right? Now that I've put the car in park, I'm just gonna go ahead and turn the vehicle off. And it just automatically set the parking brake for me. Now, if you use the parking brake a lot, and we just showed you how to set up that auto feature to turn it on, let me show you how to automatically turn it off. So if I get into my car, all I've got to do is make sure I put my seatbelt on, right? If I put my seatbelt on before I shift to drive, when I shift to drive, it will automatically disengage my parking brake. All I got to do is let off the brake, touch the gas, and there we go. Now, I live in Texas, specifically Austin, where there is tons and tons of construction. So there's something I want to talk to you about in this vehicle, and that's because it's a hybrid and it's a Honda hybrid, it does not offer a spare. And that's something you should know. No Honda hybrid offers a spare. What it does have over here is essentially fix a flat and a tire inflator. Not the greatest, but know that. Now, if you need a spare for your vehicle or you want to have one that you can mount over here to the side, you can absolutely do that. They sell them on Amazon, they're a couple $100. I'll actually throw a link up on the screen and something in the description so that if that's something you want to take advantage of, you can. Because depending on where you live, I'd recommend it. The other reason I'm here is I want to talk to you about this little funnel right here. If you ever ran out of gas, I want to point out a couple things. One, this doesn't have a cap. It's double valve. There's a valve here and a valve deeper down. If you ran out of gas and you're on the side of the road, you may not have a gas can. So you're going to need a way to hold open those valves to be able to pour gas down in it. That is the function of this little funnel. Now, to add to that, there's one other thing I want to point out. Right next to where this guy came from, if you come in here and look behind it, there's a little yellow wire right here. If your gas door ever gets stuck, you can pull on this and that will actually help you pop open this door. Now, since we're in the back end, I want to talk to you about the tailgate. This is a powered tailgate, and you can set it to any height you want. All you have to do is get it adjusted to the height that you like. So if this is what fits in your garage so you don't hit the roof, great, you get it there, and then if you just press and hold that button, eventually you're gonna hear 2 beeps. If you keep holding it, once you hear those double beeps, it's now set to this exact height. If you ever need to adjust it again, just move it to the height, press the button, and do that same sequence again. Related to that, if you ever find yourself somewhere not usual, right, and you're in there and you're like, oh, I don't want this to open up and hit the roof because I'm in a different parking garage, if you come to the little trigger down here and just press and hold it, you can actually hold it for a couple seconds. Now it's unlocked it, and I can manually pull this up. So that way, if you're worried about hitting a car or a bush or something behind you, you can kind of go to wherever you're comfortable to make sure that it opens so you don't accidentally let it open and damage yourself. All right, so let's talk about some different things related to Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. So I want to show you a few different things. The first is related to this menu here. You can see I have my GPS on one side. On the other side, I've got my audio. Know that you can flip-flop that. All you've got to do is come in here and you're going to want to go to settings. When you get down to your settings, you're going to want to go to change layout. So if you scroll down here, there's a change layout button. If you select that button, you can move your navigation. So now when I jump back, you're going to see that my navigation is over here and my audio is on the other side. The second thing I want to show you in Android Auto and Apple CarPlay that's really cool is custom actions. Now I have 2 different custom actions that I'm going to show you. The first is you can set it up to where if you press a single button, it can call one of your contacts. Super helpful if there's people that you call regularly, right? Friends, family, whatever the case may be, significant other. The second is going to be see, I have all these custom actions for places. And what I can do is I can touch it. And I'll touch Starbucks in here in a second. It'll search Google Maps for all the Starbucks that are around me. And then I can select one and it'll automatically take me there. Super cool. And if there's only one, then it'll direct me there. So if I select this,
I found 2 locations nearby.
it immediately fills in the prompt and looks for a few locations. So it actually technically found 3. At this point, I can then just select the one that I want. So maybe if this is along my journey, and it'll automatically take me there. Now, the last thing that I'm going to show you here in just a second is how do I pick the order that all of these apps land in? Because you're going to do all 3 of these things from the same place. You're going to want to scroll down until we see Customize. When you get to Customize, you're going to press it. It's then going to launch either your Apple or your Android Auto launcher. So they're gonna look very similar, but a little bit different. Now from here, if you just wanna change the order, all you gotta do is grab something and drag it. So if I wanna grab library, I can drag that above Whataburger. If I want Justin to call me first, being first, I can do that, right? Now let's talk about adding those custom actions, right? So if I wanna add one, the first is if I wanna call a contact. All I gotta do is select this and then go find the contact I want and select them. Very easy thing to do. Now, the second thing that you can do is create that custom action, so a Gemini action. So I'm gonna select that. From here, you want the command. So it could be directions to nearest Sonic. Now from there, I'm gonna label it. So I'm gonna label it Sonic. Once you've labeled it, you can test your command before you add it. Now I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna go ahead and create the shortcut. When you do, it's gonna drop it down here at the very bottom. So I'm gonna see Sonic down here, and I'm gonna wanna drag that all the way up to wherever I want it. So if I want this to be at the very top, then I'm gonna wanna drag this all the way up there, right? So now I've got Sonic at the very top. Now, for all this to take place, the changing the order and the custom action that I just added, I need to either turn the car off or disconnect from Apple CarPlay or Android Auto and then turn it back on. So I'm gonna turn off. So now that I've turned the car off and turned it back on, I'm gonna jump into my menu screen and you're gonna see Sonic is right here, Justin is here, and library is here. So the order has obviously changed. If I touch this, it should direct me to the nearest Sonic. So it's pulled up 3 different locations that I can choose from to go to Sonic. So the last thing that I want to show you is if you go to your settings, right? You can go into settings and you're gonna have all these different things that you can change. If you scroll to the very bottom, you can hit see more settings on your phone. When you do that, it'll pull this up on your screen and there's some additional settings that you can affect inside of Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. So understand if there's particular things you want to change. Specifically, I like some of the messaging options of like, I want it to show the notification or I don't. If you're in a group chat, you can change to where it shows conversations and notifications as well. I've got group chats where people are saying all kinds of weird stuff and being dummies. I don't want my mom to see that if she's sitting in the car with me, so I can affect that here. So know that you've got some additional options for Apple CarPlay and Android Auto that you can affect. So if you're looking at these buttons down here, you're gonna notice there's a button right below your parking brake and it's called brake hold. I wanna explain what brake hold is. So brake hold is kind of a convenience feature. So I'm in the car. You got to have your seatbelt on for this feature to work. So know that right first. So we're in the car. I'm going to go ahead and put the car in drive. Now, if I press the brake hold button, you're going to see it come up on here and you're going to see brake hold and you're see it saying hold. That means it's holding the brake right now while the car's in drive. So I can release my foot from the brake and we're not going to roll forward. So if we're in like a drive-through line, right? Or if we're in stop and go traffic, I can move forward a couple feet, which what we're going to do, I come to a stop. When I come to a complete stop, it'll say hold. It's now holding that brake for me. I can release my foot while the car's in drive. Super cool feature, but you gotta have your seatbelt on to use this. So if you're in a drive-through line and you're trying to reach your food or the bank teller or whoever out there, and you turn this off, understand that it's going to automatically engage your parking brake so that you don't roll into the car in front of you. So super cool feature. Understand this is what it is and how it works and what you got to have to use it.
So hopefully these tips and tricks on the 2026 Honda CR-V help you out. A couple things before I get out of here. The first is take advantage of that giveaway. If you want to win a wireless Zen CarPlay adapter, all you got to do is head over to my Instagram. When you get there, follow me and then leave a comment on the post that I made related to the Zen adapter. Other than that, know that I've got plenty of other videos. If you happen to be shopping for a CR-V and you haven't purchased one yet, know that I've made a lot of different comparison videos that you can watch comparing it to things like the RAV4. Obviously, those two regularly compete for #1 and #2 in sales and a lot of other vehicles. So other than that, like, comment, subscribe, all things. Later, guys!